Hey everybody, how's it going? Well, we all know what's headlining the news lately. The Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade. The left are freaking out about it, the pro-abortion crowd. And I'm not even going to say the pro-choice crowd. They're not the ones freaking out about it. It's the pro-abortion crowd, and there is a difference. Just because someone is pro-choice doesn't mean they're pro-abortion, so I'm not going to include them in this little piece. But the anti-abortion crowd are freaking out, and let's face it, the 99.9% of the pro-abortion crowd are Democrats, liberals, progressives, whatever label you want to give them anymore. But I don't understand why they're freaking out about that particular decision, because all the Supreme Court did was follow the guidelines set forth in this document, which is the Constitution of the United States. That's what their job is. Their job, they don't prosecute criminal cases, they don't get involved in civil cases, they only get involved in constitutional cases. And if the Supreme Court would have been doing their job 50 years ago, they never would have ruled favorably on Roe v. Wade. Because all the Supreme Court did was turn the abortion issue over to the states, where it should have always been. I live in California. The women in California have nothing to worry about. It's never going to change. It's going to change anything here. But there are a few states where things are going to change, and it's really, I was surprised. I started doing some research over the last couple of days, and I was surprised at how difficult it is to find objective answers to which states are going to do what. Texas, for instance, has put a temporary ban on imposing any new policies or laws that are going to have to do with this case. But one of the states, I actually looked into Georgia, Texas, Tennessee, Utah, South Dakota, and Arizona, just because those are generally considered to be more conservative states. And I was curious as to what their positions were. Utah is also, they're on hold right now too. They're going to take a breath and figure this all out. But one of the states I did find out quite a bit of information was Georgia. And prior to this Supreme Court decision, Georgia had banned abortions after 20 weeks. And Georgia is a very conservative state where these things are concerned. Let me read some of the stuff I found here. Now, following this, Georgia's policy is going to be a ban after 6 weeks, except in cases of rape, incest, miscarriage, and pregnancies deemed medically futile. The Georgia Life Alliance executive director said, "We are not looking for a special session to ban abortion. We only think that the House Bill HB 481, which is called the heartbeat bill, where once life is determined by a fetus having a heartbeat, that abortions can't be done. This bill needs to be put in place, and that's what we need to go off of." Everyone wants to assume the worst, and that none of these states are going to have any exceptions. I would be willing to bet that all of these states, these conservative states, Texas, Utah, that are having on hold, they're, like I said, they're taking a breath. They're going to try to figure out what they do. Now, personally, I'm going to say this. Personally, I have no comment on abortion. I never have. I've never thought it should be a political football, but it always has been. At least in my life, it passed in Roe v. Wade went into effect in 1973. I was 13 years old when that went into effect. So I can actually look at this objectively. Most people can't. In one side of the argument or the other, they tend to be very based, which is what has made it so hard to find good information, because most of these other states, I found a little bit about Utah, and it sounds like they're pretty much going to do the same kind of thing Georgia is, and I would imagine that a lot of these states are going to follow those guidelines as well. But so much of the information I saw was tossed out there immediately by the pro-abortion people, and it almost seemed like that maybe there was a form letter sent out and they said, this is what we want everybody to say. And that's cool. I mean, each side is entitled to its opinion. Each side is entitled to its activist ends, and each side is entitled to its reasonable ends. Another thing, as long as I've got this Constitution out, I keep hearing the separation of church and state. This is also applies to the the football coach who won his case about praying on the 50-yard line. Nowhere in this document is the separation of church and state mentioned. It doesn't say that anywhere in the Constitution. So let's read the First Amendment and let's see exactly what it says. Congress shall make no law respecting an establishment of religion or prohibiting the free exercise thereof, or abridging the freedom of speech, of the press, or the right of the people to peaceably assemble and to petition the government for a redress of grievances. So where religion is concerned, it doesn't say in there what religion, doesn't say where you can and can't do it. All it says is that the government, the state, cannot establish a state religion, such as the Church of England was, or some of the Muslim countries that are run by clerics. That is what this is designed to keep from happening. It's not designed to keep people from praying at football games or restaurants or wherever somebody might be offended by it. That's something else it doesn't say in here. Nowhere in here does it say that as an American, you have the right to not be offended. I don't know why people are so offended by somebody else praying, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not a church guy, but I'm a person of faith, and I've studied the Word pretty extensively. And I just don't understand why it offends people so much for people to live a life that might be a little better and a little kinder and a little more good. Are all Christians like that? No, some Christians are jerks, but most of them aren't. They're good people, and you know what? I've met plenty of atheists who are good people. They aren't offended by people who pray. It's the activist ends of it that do that. As people are saying, well, it's the religious right that has done this. No, it's not. It's the Supreme Court of the United States of America. And they were adhering to the Constitution, and the fact that the liberal judges on the bench in the Supreme Court sided against it is more proof that the liberals don't care about the Constitution. Whenever Democrats or liberals or whatever they or you want to label yourself as start talking about what the Constitution does and doesn't say, before you get into another debate like that, go get one of these. I got this one from my congressman's office, Kevin McCarthy. I called him up to inquire about another issue, and I asked him, hey, do you guys have any copies of the Constitution? Because I used to have a nice one. I gave it to a friend of mine. He asked to borrow it, and I just told him to keep it. I always intended to go get another nice one, but I never got around to it. And they said, hey, give me your address. I gave them my address, and they sent me 2 or 3 of these. So anyway, this has already gone longer than I expected it to and wanted it to, probably longer than you're going to pay any attention. This is what the overturning of Roe v. Wade was about. It wasn't about feelings. It wasn't about Republicans or conservatives or anything. It was about adhering to the Constitution. And as I said, had the Supreme Court been doing its job 50 years ago, Roe v. Wade would never have happened. It would have been turned back over to the states at that time, and all these issues would be settled in each state by now. And people could determine if that's where they wanted to live or get health care or whatever, just like they're going to be able to do in the future. All right. What do you think about all this? Where do you stand on all this? Do you have a comment on abortion? I don't. I really don't. It's one of the very few issues that I can objectively discuss because I have no comment one way or the other. I have an opinion, but my opinion doesn't matter. If I'm going to debate someone, I'm only going to debate the facts. And if you're one of these people who wants to debate based on how you feel, That's not a debate. That's an argument. Go do it with somebody else. All right. Well, let me know in the comments below. Shoot me an email at motorpoet59@gmail.com. Like, share, and subscribe. Click on the bell if you want to be notified of future content. We'll see you all later.